Hey folks, this is Stephen Boyle. I know it's been a very long time since I've done a forecast on here. I've been very busy, have been having a lot of issues. But yeah, let's look at the forecast right now. As of course, we do have a major winter storm that is about to affect the Northeast. This is going to be a very intense storm system, and I don't think models are really handling the upper air dynamic very well. The reason being, particularly at the 850 millibar level, I don't think models are handling it very well. Although it's only 12 hours before the event, I still honestly believe that there is going to be colder air in this storm than what the models are showing. And let me sort of show you, because there's this area of high pressure right here. Okay, and it's a very cold Canadian high pressure. This morning we have temperatures into the lower teens. Alright, so this is creating some cold air, and it is all draining down into New England. Okay, it's draining into New England. This morning temperatures are starting off in the single digits. Alright, folks, this is not, it's not like we have temperatures here in the 20s. We have temperatures starting off in the single digits, some areas below zero. So this is very cold air. It is going to take a lot of force, and I don't think it tracks as close to the coast as some of the models are showing. Some of the models are showing it here, kind of coming up like this. I don't think it tracks like that. I think it tracks something more along the lines like this. You know, I just don't think it tracks right over Long Island. I just don't see that happening at this particular point. Although Long Island won't be getting much in the way of snow, definitely don't. I just don't think the storm system will be tracking over Long Island. Right now, there are winter storm warnings through Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. There are some winter weather advisories in extreme southeastern Mass and also southern portions of Rhode Island, including Providence. What's going on here? And let's go to a current radar imagery. What's going on? Let's actually go here. What's going on is we have this southern piece of energy. It's this southern piece of energy that is really going to be our storm system and is really going to track something like this. Okay. I'll show you. This southern piece of energy is going to track really over Nantucket. Alright, it's going to track something like this. Let me move this over a little bit. Okay, so this is what it's looking like. This storm right in here, this part of the storm, is coming up like this, and it's starting to weaken. But it's this part of the storm that's going to curve off, and it keeps hitting, I keep hitting my, whoops, I keep hitting my right mouse button by accident. The way it's going to track, if I can find my mouse, okay, there it is. The way it's going to track is like this, okay, like that. It is going to give precipitation all the way well, it's obviously going to give precipitation to all these folks. Okay, even out into here, you're going to get precipitation from this storm system. Like I said, what models are not realizing is that this area of high pressure up in here is extremely strong. They're underdoing it. They're underdoing this area of high pressure. They are not realizing that this cold air that is draining down into Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, northern Connecticut, it's going to take a lot of it would take a lot of warm air advection to really bump up these temperatures through these regions right in here. Thus, because this warm air advection is being shown in Massachusetts, particularly northern Connecticut, Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire, southwest New Hampshire, and portions of Vermont, this is lowering snow totals. I do not, and again, although it's being shown by the Canadian, although it's being shown by the Euro, although it's being shown by the GFS and the NAM, the Canadian is a little bit better with holding on to the cold air. Because why? Because the area of high pressure is in Canada. Okay, so they have a better understanding of how this area of high pressure is going to work, and this is definitely going to be a big player tonight. All right, all of the models are not handling this very good, and I want everybody to really understand that, because if you look at some of these forecasts that the National Weather Service is putting out there, okay, we'll start off at Mount Holly. We go to the snow forecast, and I do agree with this in general, although I think there's a little bit more of a widespread 8 to 10 in here. Okay, I don't think it's spotty. I don't think it's spotty as they're showing it to be. Okay, we go more north. All right, we go to the New York City. I think there is going to be an 8 to 10 that comes up like this. Okay, 8 to 10. I'm very confident about that, and I think these areas in here see 10 to 14. Okay, I really do. We go northward, and we see that National Weather Service out of Taunton, the way I'm looking at this 10 to 14, I think it comes along like this, up through New Hampshire. That is honestly how I'm looking at this 10 to 14. This 8 to 10, I think we can kind of squeeze closer to the coast, and I think coastal New Hampshire and coastal Maine get into 8 to 10 inches. Okay, right now I am very confident to say that 10 to 14 inches will be coming down all the way through Connecticut. However, I would probably only include this part of Connecticut in that, and then come up like this. Okay, that is where I am seeing this 10 to 14 right now. So we can go ahead and fill in all of these areas in 10 to 14. Okay, already these areas are, but all of these pink areas, we can go ahead and fill those in with 10 to 14 at this particular point in time. Now, we go a little bit farther to the north. Okay, and right now I do think and actually the National Weather Service out of Gray, Maine has an area of 14 to 18 in here. Now it's sort of blinded because the 14 and the 18 are a little bit close in color, but the 14 to 18 is in here. 10 to 14 curving up like this. Okay, do I think 14 to 18 inches could fall into portions of Massachusetts? It's possible. It's possible, but right now I would not forecast 14 to 18 inches of snow. Up in Caribou, I do think though that all of these regions in here, which is what they're showing, get 14 to 18 inches of snow, 10 to 14 up in here, and then 8 to 10 back up in here. Okay, that is, I do agree with this. Okay, so let's just look at the models. All right, I will also show you the 850 millibar temperatures. Okay, so we move along here. There is this first little area of precipitation, which I'll go ahead and open up the radar again. I gotta move myself down a little bit for a minute. We'll go to the radar and I'll show you. There is precipitation falling across these regions this morning, okay, particularly up into these regions right in here, but it's not falling to the ground. Why isn't it falling to the ground? It is way too cold, the dry air, okay. All of this is Virga. It's very, very, very cold this morning. We have temperatures that are not getting out of into these regions out of the single digits this morning. All right. So we've got some serious cold air to contend with. It's going, like I said, it's going to take a lot to push this cold air out. So here comes the storm, and right now, this area of this transfer to the coast, because we look at this the radar imagery, there's the low is already developing out in here. It's fairly clear that there's an area of low pressure, that the primary low is right in here. There's already back out in here, there's a little bit of a low pressure starting to develop. It's not going to be really until later this afternoon that we see this area of low pressure along the Carolina coastline really crank itself up and start working its way in this particular direction. Okay, again, going back to the models. All right, this is 7 p.m. all right, now this is what it was showing at around this time in the morning. This is what it was showing about this time. Let's look at the radar and kind of compare it to what the NAM is showing. 9 a.m. we have precipitation falling across northern Georgia, Tennessee, western portions of North Carolina through Kentucky. Okay, now although this is at the model image is at 7 a.m. Okay, this is 1 p.m. 1 p.m. it has the precipitation where it is right now. So therefore, we can already see that there is some problems with the initialization of the NAM and even some of the other models. Okay, surface observations are not coming into play into these regions this morning. Either that or there's some form of issues going on with the models. Let's open up the GFS the GFS also and see where this precipitation is located. Kind of compare it to the NAM. We see that. Hold on a minute. I'll remove the 850 millibars. It's showing precipitation in here at 7 a.m. and then at 1 p.m. it's showing the heavy precipitation where it is right now. I want you to look where the heavy precipitation is. It's over central Tennessee, down through Georgia, across into North Carolina, and portions of South Carolina. Okay, so that's where it is right now, as of 9:30 in the morning. That's where it was showing it for 1 p.m. For me personally, I honestly think that the models are not handling this storm all too well. Okay, some people may disagree. Let's look at the Euro. Okay, this was at 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, it was showing pretty much where the precipitation is now for where it is at 1 p.m. So we're already about a few hours ahead of schedule. Okay, because this is already happening right now. All of what you're seeing in here is happening right now. Okay, we have this precipitation that's spreading across the Northeast already. We have I would say some pretty moderate precipitation coming down in here. Now, again, the real precipitation is down in here. All of this is actually associated with the northern system. So really, this is not anything to write home about. Our real system doesn't crank itself up until later this evening. Okay, that's when things really start to kick itself into gear. All right. But I want everybody to notice that these models, now let's look at the Canadian. Okay, how has the Canadian initialized? And again, I'm sort of leaning towards a Canadian solution. Now, thus, is still the model is still a little bit off. I like its thermal profiles, but again, the location of the storm is not necessarily on target. Okay. Again, 7 a.m. this morning, although it's not reaching the ground, we do have precipitation expanding out like this. So there is precipitation in here. I'll even show you on radar. There is precipitation. All right. There's precipitation entering into Connecticut. And again, this is not reaching the ground because of the cold air. But still, the point I'm trying to make is that there is precipitation this morning spreading across into these regions, which wasn't being shown at 7 in the morning on the models. Okay, so that's kind of an important issue that the models are having. If we go ahead and check out some of these shorter range models, okay, these really short range models, and see how they're handling things, let's just sort of see. Here is what it was showing at 1 a.m. 7. Again, it's a little better. But again, there's still this heavy precipitation is already coming down right now in eastern Kentucky. All right, or excuse me, eastern Tennessee. Okay, there it is in eastern Tennessee. There's that heavy precipitation. Okay, so these models are overdoing this warm air advection way too much, in my opinion. All right, especially, like I said, for these folks in here. For these folks in here. Warm air advection is going to be a very minimal problem. Very minimal problem. I don't even see it being a problem. And on your short range models, it is showing that it's not going to be a major problem. Okay. Again, the areas that are going to have issues with mixing are in here. These are your areas that you're going to have mixing issues, and where you're probably not going to see over 6 inches of snow. Okay, but once you go northwest of there, the cold air is getting entrenched this morning. All right, it's getting entrenched. It's getting set up. Okay, I'm checking to see if there's snow out there. None is falling yet, but the cold air is getting entrenched this morning. So this means that we have some serious cold air to work with. Models are not picking up on that. Okay, even your short-range models. Let's look at the wrap this morning. All right, see how it's handling the situation. Again, I kind of I was looking at the wrap I was seeing how it was showing things on Facebook, and this is what it was showing 9 a.m. Very accurate. Very accurate. The precipitation is exactly where it is for 9 a.m. So, and you notice how this cold air is a little deeper into New England than what some of your other models were showing. But again, it's still bringing in some warm air advection, which is not going to happen. However, it's probably one of your better models, the wrap. Okay, but again, I want everybody to indicate or to understand that your models oftentimes don't account for how well this area of high pressure is working. Okay, I do like the JMA for this storm. Okay, I think the JMA, which is the Japanese model, is pretty much on board with what I'm thinking as far as this cold air being entrenched. Notice how the cold air is really entrenched into interior sections of New England. Cold air will be entrenched. It's going to take, it's not going to be forced out. It is not going to be forced out. There is not going to be an issue at all with this mixing issues. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to also show you. Now this is the Sref. I'm gonna actually bring you guys to the Sref plumes. Okay. I'm gonna go to a few locations across New England in the Northeast. We'll start off in Boston. Okay. Total snowfall. Notice how our median is at about 6 inches of snow. We have a good shot of seeing 8 to 10. Okay. I really do think Boston sees about 8 to 10 inches. I really do. Okay. Leominster, again, an area that is a little bit north of Worcester. 11 inches. We have up to 17, with the lowest showing 5. I do agree with this. I think this area is going to see at least 10 inches of snow. Okay. Looking at Orange, we have our median at around 9 inches up to 15. I do agree with that. Looking at Worcester, our median is about 9 to 10, with our highest amount showing 13. Going into this region in here, median is about 10 with up to 13 inches of snow. I agree with 10 to 14 into that area. But once you start going down into Connecticut, okay, I want you to go down into Connecticut. Median is now about 6 inches. Okay, notice how it drops significantly once you go into Connecticut. All right, that's because what's going to end up happening, let me somehow find a blank map. what's going to end up happening is we are going to get warm air advection to press its way along the coast into these areas. So this would be including southeastern portions of Massachusetts, Providence, Hartford, down on into Hartford. You're right on the line. You're right on the line of getting that warm air advection coming in, but definitely New York City. Okay, but once we go northwest of there, once you start going into Massachusetts, extreme northern Connecticut. When I say extreme northern Connecticut, I'm including Enfield, Windsor Locks, those areas. Okay, we'll look at the Shref plumes for northern Connecticut. About 8 inches up to 13. Okay, so which I'm in pretty much good agreement with. I think what ends up happening is we see this snow pretty much holding on in northern Connecticut through a good chunk of Massachusetts. Boston, you're a little iffy. The reason why you're a little iffy is because you are on the coast. Definitely to your south, no doubt about it. But there could be a little nudge at times that wants to put you into some mixing issues. But definitely once you go north and west of 495, up into even along the 95 corridor, up into these regions, all snow. There is no doubt in my mind that Springfield over to Worcester, over to Lowell, to Leominster, to Orange, to Greenfield, to Pittsfield, up into Concord, New Hampshire, down to Bennington, Vermont, up into Portland, Maine, is going to stay all snow. Okay, this is not going to be a mixing issue with you guys like some of the models are showing. Okay, this is going to be all snow. There could be a period of sleet, but it will be mixing with very heavy snow and will not lower snowfall accumulation. Now, I want everybody to hang in there because I do have a snowfall map that I'm getting ready to release. All right, on Northeast Weather Center. To kind of give you the general idea of this snowfall map, I will pretty much tell you what I'm predicting. Down here along the Cape, I'm predicting about 1 to 3 inches of snow. That 1 to 3 inches comes down through Long Island, down through southern Jersey, down along, actually, I believe this is actually, the coatings are going to be really on the Cape. And then you kind of come down like this. So extreme southern Jersey, obviously these portions of Virginia, I don't even know if these portions of Virginia will see any snow. It's going to be very, don't expect any snow if any, if you live into, or expect little amounts of snow, if any, into the Norfolk region of Norfolk, Richmond, Virginia, those regions. I don't think you're going to be seeing much in the way of snowfall. You come along down through these regions, you're talking about 1 to 3. So I'll kind of curve it back up like this. Okay. These regions, you're talking about 1 to 3 inches of snow. Okay. These areas along the northern edge, you're probably going to be closer to 3 to 4. But Washington, I see you getting about 1 to 2. Down into these regions, probably 1 to 2. All right. Most of these areas will be picking up 1 to 2 inches of snow. Then you come a little bit more to the north. This includes Providence. This comes down, includes New York City, includes Philly, comes northwest of Washington, down like this up through Pennsylvania, curving through a good chunk of central Jersey, and then coming through southern Connecticut into central Rhode Island, up into portions of Massachusetts. These folks are going to be seeing about 3 to 6 inches. You're going to get a very hefty burst of snow before changing over to some sleet, freezing rain, and maybe even a little bit of rain. But this is going to be, you're going to see, especially once you get into the Rhode Island area, into Connecticut, these folks right in here are really going to be seeing a hefty amount of snow before changing over to some sleet and freezing rain. Okay. Down in here, you're going to probably be seeing somewhere about around 3 to 6 inches of snow. Philly, I see you getting about 3 to 4 inches. Central up into New York City, probably closer to the 3 to 4. Now, then you come into Boston. You curve down through Hartford. You curve down into extreme northwest Jersey, down in through Pennsylvania, a good chunk of interior central PA, down into portions of West Virginia, and come up like this. These folks are going to be talking about 8 to 10 inches. Or excuse me, 6 to 10 inches of snow. There could be a period of mixing. This would include Hartford. This would include Boston. All right. This would include Northwest Jersey. This would include Central PA. Okay. And into portions of West Virginia. You're going to probably go over to a period of mixing. Okay. Sleet, maybe a little bit of freezing rain. Still, the snow will be coming down. How long it takes for this snow to change, or for the changeover to occur, is going to be very, very critical. Okay, very critical on amounts of snow. I think these guys in here, when push comes to shove, I think Northwest Rhode Island, Central Connecticut, up into Boston, see closer to the amounts of 8 to 10. Okay, I'm thinking closer to the 8 to 10. These guys in here, I'm thinking closer to the 6 to 8. Okay, but again, 6 to 10 through all of these areas. I think Boston, Hartford are closer to the 10 inches than they are the 6 inches. Now, then you go northwest of there, which includes just along the coast, north coast of Massachusetts, into extreme northern Connecticut, north of Hartford. Okay, north of Hartford. Hartford, you're going to be in a very tricky situation. You're going to be, all you have to do is probably travel 15 miles to the north to Windsor Locks, Bradley, and they're going to get pummeled with over 10 inches of snow. This curves up around through Albany, up into Vermont, up into New Hampshire, up into Maine, and it goes all the way up into Maine. These folks are going to be seeing 10 inches to potentially 14 inches. I do think some of these areas could be talking about 14 to 16 inches. So if I were to put in a snowfall amount, I would probably go 10 to 16 at this particular point. 10 to 16 for these folks. Okay? With these folks in here being 6 to 10. With these folks in here being 3 to 6. With these folks in here being 1 to 3. And with these folks in here being a coating to an inch. Okay? 10 to 16 for folks who live in southern New Hampshire, southern Vermont, a good chunk of Massachusetts. Massachusetts, although the models are showing a good changeover for these folks, it's not going to happen. I can almost guarantee it, because really this area in here is really deeply cold this morning. All of the layers of the atmosphere are cold, are really saturated with very cold air. Okay, there is no doubt in my mind that the changeover goes only as far north as Hartford up through Boston. That's where the changeover is going to occur. And if you live south of those areas, you probably could be changing over to some rain. But these areas in here, I do not see a changeover happening. Boston, like I said, you're on that line, and Hartford, you're right on that line. But Springfield, Worcester, Lowell, Lawrence, that area, Fitchburg, Leominster, Orange, Pittsfield, down into the Berkshire, southern portions of the Berkshires, up into Concord, New Hampshire, up into Vermont, and up into Portland, Maine, Augusta, Maine, those regions. You're not going to be seeing a changeover. Okay, you're not going to be seeing a changeover. You may see into these southern regions right in here, Worcester down into Springfield, you may see a period of sleet, but let me tell you, it's not going to keep the snowfall amounts down, because guess what? It's only sleet. It's not freezing rain. It's not anything. It's really sleet, and the snow will still be coming down at a very, very good clip for these folks, and also into extreme northern Connecticut as well. This includes the Litchfield Hills and up into these areas. So no, this is what if you live north and west of this line, no changeover will most likely occur. Again, the areas that need to kind of be a little weary right now of this changeover, if it could possibly happen, are people right along the coast, right in here. Even though I have you in no changeover, you may end up changing over. We'll have to sort of see what happens with that. But I do think, especially along the 495 corridor, north of that, you're going to do fine. If you live north of the border of Connecticut and Rhode Island, you're going to do fine with the snow. You're not going to see a changeover, all right? So that's what my thinking is at this particular point. Make sure you stay tuned to Northeast Weather Center, as of course I will be posting my map a little bit. We'll be posting my map very soon. So go ahead and do that. That is my briefing on the storm system. I have a very serious storm system, kind of giving you a little bit of information long range. We're going to see another possible burst of snow Tuesday into Wednesday. Maybe a good 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inches, something around there. We end up seeing a warm up by the end of the week, okay? But we cool down for Christmas. Around Christmas time, we're going to be talking about snow. A heavy snowstorm at that. There's still a lot to be ironed out before then, but after this little brief warm-up for a good 1 to 2, maybe 3 days, there is going to be a storm. Before the snowstorm, there's going to be a storm, and there's been some indicators by some of the models that there could be an ice storm. To kind of keep our eyes on that. There could be some rain, there could be some melting of the snow. I don't think it melts all the snow that we have, because I do think that there's a white Christmas this year. However, there's going to be possibly some ice for some folks in the Northeast. Where this occurs, I have no idea yet. I haven't looked in depth to the models yet. So there's going to be another storm, and then after that, there's another storm that comes in, probably a coastal, that could be bringing some interesting amounts of snow to folks yet again in the same areas, getting 10 to 16 inches today. All right, so we'll have to sort of keep our eyes peeled on that, sort of make sure we kind of keep our we're going to be on our toes, because there's a lot of storm systems coming in. We're in a very active pattern, and this active pattern will continue right on through the winter. It's going to be a very active winter this year. And probably just as active as 2010, 2011 is at this particular point in time. I would say, again, I know I didn't put out a winter forecast, but in analyzing all of the information I've gotten up to this particular point, I think it's a very good bet that a lot of people in New England will be seeing over 50 inches of snow. People in the mid-Atlantic will most likely be seeing over 25 inches of snow. And if you live into Virginia, you probably will be seeing over 10 inches of snow the whole winter. Again, western portions of Virginia, the mountains, obviously much, much more than that. But I'm talking about the Richmond area up through Washington is where I'm talking over the 10 inches. But obviously the mountains of Virginia, West Virginia, you're going to obviously see more because you're in the mountains. So yeah, that's what it's looking like at this particular point. There's also some good lake effect that has been going on into portions of New York. Lake effect snow this year will probably be pretty good. So that's pretty much all that I really wanted to talk about. I will be posting a lot of videos quite often since we are in a very active pattern, and this active pattern is going to probably continue for a good chunk of the winter. So we'll have to sort of keep on our toes. I'll be giving you periodic updates and sort of keep you tuned. After the storm, I will most likely post a video on how good my predictions were. And if something was messed up or I was wrong on something, I will go ahead and say where I was wrong. Hey, the 850 millibar temperatures warmed up a little bit too much warmer than what I thought, or the 850 millibar temperatures were colder. The upper levels of the atmosphere were colder, so therefore there was more snow that fell in Boston and Hartford and Providence and what have you. So we'll sort of play everything out. We'll see how it all goes over the course of the day. Stay safe. Remember, if you're under a winter storm warning, prepare. And if you plan on traveling after the hours of 5 to 8, be prepared for some tough travel. It's going to be a very, very tricky travel after 5 to 8 o'clock this evening. So if I were you, I would get everything done before 5 o'clock this evening. Shopping, everything, and prepare to bunker down after 8 o'clock after 5 and 8 o'clock this morning or this evening. So that's what it's looking like right now. I hope you all have a great Saturday and Sunday, and we'll be back tomorrow after the storm to give you information on the storm itself and how it performed. All right, talk to you later, everybody. Have a good day.